any curriculum on Jewish philosophy, I want to talk about the time, and that is, first of all, the days of Sefirat between Pesach and Shavuot, which actually include two sort of opposite ideas. One is, this is, at least in the good old days, this was actually the happiest time of the year. This is Israel is basically, we were an agricultural society, and agriculture still plays a major role here. And this is the time of the grain harvest. And the country's beautiful. It's green. It's I don't know if you're doing any traveling now, but it's just so beautiful. It's the most beautiful time of the year here. And we're anticipating Shavuot, where we re-accept the Torah. Okay, that's one side of it. And then there's the other side of it is we're also in some minor state of mourning over the students of Rabbi Akiva, 24,000 students that died between Pesach and Shavuot. I want to quickly talk about them. Weddings, a question of exactly when. There are different customs brought in the Shulchan Aruch as to which of the days between Pesach and Shavuot are included. So I want to talk about these 24,000 students of Rabbi Akiva. How did they die?
There's different opinions on that one.
So the Gemara makes it sound like there was some epidemic. The Igeris of Rav Shiur Gaon. Rav Shiur Gaon, one of the Gaonim, you may remember, we spoke about the Gaonim as part of the oral transmission. They were the generations, they were the heads of the academies in Babylon after the writing of the Gemara. Rav Shiur Gaon, who he writes a history of the Jewish people, primarily the oral transmission, going from the giving of Torah to his day. And he mentions that they were killed b'shmada, which generally means that they died fighting for Judaism or for Al-Kiddush Hashem. It sounds like he's telling us something that the Gemara didn't want us to discuss. I guess we will anyway. What do I mean? The Gemara calls it an epidemic. So why does he choose to disagree? We understand that Rabbi Akiva was the number one supporter of Bar Kokhba. We do know that Bar Kokhba's revolt ended in disaster, and the casualties, the number of casualties there were big numbers. It makes sense that they fought in the wars against the Romans. They were killed with Bar Kokhba's revolt.
The Bar Kokhba's revolt, was it about him being Mashiach, or was it about the Roman?
It was about him being Mashiach and revolting against Rome. This was after the destruction of the temple. Bar Kokhba declared himself Mashiach, he declared himself the king, and was fighting the Romans. In the beginning he was successful.
Why did Rabbi Akiva follow and believe him if he didn't, aren't there signs in the Torah, like, that needs to this happen, this needs to happen?
Not necessarily.
No?
No, I mean, the signs we have are usually later ones.
Right.
After Rabbi Akiva's days.
Like Daniel, and that's after Rabbi Akiva?
So Daniel is earlier, except that what he says is cryptic. We don't know what he's saying there.
Like the ending all wars and things like this.
Well, the hope was that after he wins, all wars will end. Right. And he was winning. Rabbi Akiva thought he was Mashiach. It stands to reason that they were killed in the revolt. So why does the Gemara hide that?
doesn't want to dissuade us from revolting if we ever need to. Yeah.
Never thought of that one. That's good. The Gemara tells us that the reason it happened was because they did not show enough respect for one another. It was they understood that if you're going to go say that it was about fighting with Bar Kokhba, that people are going to turn into, you see, Bar Kokhba was wrong, you shouldn't have fought the Romans, it was a political thing, ideological, political, whatever. The Gemara wants to tell us, no, this was a character issue. They knew that the real reason why they were killed was because of their lack of respect for one another. So it may very well be that they were killed in Bar Kokhba's revolt. But the Gemara understood that the reason they were killed was because of the way they treated one another.
Why would it be in the Gemara if the Gemara was already written at that time?
The Gemara wasn't written yet. Rabbi Akiva was in the days of the Mishnah.
Okay. Oh.
Rabbi Akiva predates the writing down of the Mishnah. Rabbi Akiva is one of the names in the Mishnah. The Gemara talks about it. It was a few generations before the writing of the Gemara.
You mentioned the Gaon is the one relaying this.
The Gaon, Shiur goes after the Gemara even relays that that's what happened.
Right.
In other words, there are times that things happen, if we take them at face value, we come to the wrong conclusion. Here, the Gemara understood that the lesson we have to learn is not so much an ideological, political one, but the lesson we have to learn is a character one. Yeah.
The problem with that, though, is like, game theory, right? If two people disagree, right, and the active person does something in that disagreement, then in order for the passive person to agree with the active person, they just have to go along with whatever the active person does. And so if in that time the people that disagreed that Bar Kokhba was Mashiach, they wouldn't have been able to disagree, and they would have just had to have gone with it, even if he wasn't the Mashiach. Do you understand? So maybe
the Gemara wanted to take the Bar Kokhba issue out of it.
Okay.
No, the Bar Kokhba issue is a different discussion.
I thought, okay, never mind.
They wanted to take it. What they said was the issue was character.
Yeah.
The issue involved here was character.
But I think it still applies though, even if the issue is just character. Like if you take a modern context, how can we agree with each other when our views
It's not about agreement.
Oh.
And that's the key. It has nothing to do with agreement. Respect for one another has nothing to do with agreement. Jews never believe in just go with the flow. We never believe in that. The Jew by nature is opinionated. We're meant to be that way. We're meant to argue. It's a favorite sport. You stand up for what you believe in. The issue is not agreement. The issue is not developing a consensus. The issue is respect. You can disagree to the death, but I respect you as a brother. I respect you as an intelligent human being, despite the fact that you think differently than I do. And that's something a Jew has to learn very, very strongly. These are the students of Rabbi Akiva. These people were the future of the oral law. These 24,000 students would have all been great rabbis. But we lost them because they believed in themselves and not in the people around them. When there was disagreement, they were right, the other guy is wrong, and therefore, in my book, he doesn't exist.
This was in the time of the transmission where it was like they were all trying to figure out like the correct Masorah or what was...
This was part of the Masorah was still alive and well.
Really?
They were talking about like fine-tuning things, really going through every piece of Gemara and understanding what it means. I mean, that wasn't Gemara then, of the oral law. And they argued, and that's legitimate. And then this is really key. Just simply to have these as days of mourning. All right, so we limit the music we listen to. Some don't listen to any music. Some listen to a cappella. the most important thing is to get the message. The Jewish nation would have been a different people if we would have had these 24,000 great rabbis, and we only lost them because they did not learn to respect one another. To learn to argue with respect. It's such a difficult thing. You know, when someone thinks differently than you do, to be able to respect him, not legitimize his view, but legitimize his right to a view.
Especially when it's about life and death.
Absolutely. 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 It takes a lot of maturity to be able to do this. It's a lot of maturity. Yeah. We're over time, is that it? What?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Good time.